Are you all right? Can you move it?
I think so. It just hurts a little.
The first time I saw Earth burn, I felt nothing. Not rage, not grief. Only the hollow rhythm of a heart that no longer knew which side it beat for. My name is Layla Vethrin, last envoy of the Seraph Dominion. Once our fleet stretched from Titan's orbit to the crimson sands of Arctis Prime. Now they lie scattered, molten ghosts adrift in vacuum, swallowed by the silence we once ruled. And in the middle of that silence stood one man, Messy Kale, the human commander who destroyed my world, and somehow saved me from it. The war began long before our names mattered. The humans called it the Singularity Conflict, a war between flesh and perfected machine. But for us, the Dominion, it was something deeper, a crusade to preserve emotion in a universe trying to erase it. They created artificial gods. We resisted. They unleashed weapons that rewrote DNA. We adapted. And then they captured me. When I woke in the containment chamber, the walls shimmered like liquid glass, glowing faintly with neural light. I tried to move, but my veins flared silver, a restraint field. My body trembled under its pulse. "Don't fight it," a voice said from behind the glass. It was deep, calm, and infuriatingly human. He stepped into view. Dark uniform, eyes gray as frozen metal, scar cutting across his jaw. His presence carried authority, but something behind his expression betrayed weariness. "Commander Messy Kyle," he said like an apology, "you are alive because I asked for it." I should have spat in his face. Instead, I stared into those cold eyes and saw a flicker of recognition, as if he'd seen me before, in another life neither of us remembered. Days passed, or years. Time blurred in the sterile glow of the human vessel, Odyssey 9. Messy interrogated me, but our exchanges shifted from questions to arguments, from arguments to uneasy conversations. He asked about our songs, our architecture, our belief that emotion was a weapon, not a weakness. And I, traitor to my kind, found myself answering. One night when the ship drifted near the ruins of Luna City, alarms screamed through the corridors. Rebel drones had breached the lower decks. The air thickened with smoke and gunfire. I felt the tremor of battle ripple through my containment cell. The field collapsed. Freedom surged in my veins. I could have escaped. I should have escaped. Instead, I ran toward the sound of his voice. I found Messy cornered by a swarm of sentient drones. Human tech turned rogue. The machine sliced through the air like shards of light. He fired his pulse rifle until its core overheated, then drew a blade glowing red from friction. He didn't see the drone above him. "Down!" I screamed. My voice cracked with energy as I unleashed a bioluminal burst, a storm of ultraviolet fire that shredded the attackers. When the light faded, the corridor smelled of ozone and ash. He looked at me, disbelief in his eyes. "You could have run." "So could you," I answered. For the first time, he smiled. Not the cold, rehearsed grin of a soldier, but something human, raw, and almost gentle. After the battle, the ship limped through orbit, half alive. I stood with him on the observation deck. Earth's atmosphere shimmered below, painted in bruised colors, blues and reds colliding like blood and memory. He spoke quietly. "We built machines to feel nothing, and now we envy what we destroyed." "You speak like one of us," I murmured. "Maybe I'm tired of being one of us," he replied. That night, under the dying light of a fractured moon, he told me the truth. His orders were to dismantle my mind, transfer my consciousness into the archive, the human AI vault. I would exist as data, not flesh. My memories, emotions, even my voice, digitized for study. He looked away when he said it, as though the stars themselves might judge him. "Then why save me?" I whispered. His hand trembled before it found mine. "Because something in you refuses to die. And maybe that's the only part of me left worth saving." We didn't speak again for hours. Outside, lightning danced across the edges of the atmosphere. Inside, two enemies shared silence, the kind that feels like confession. But even in stillness, fate moved. A transmission broke through the ship's comm grid, encrypted Dominion frequency. My people, they were alive. and they wanted me back. I froze. My heart, once dulled by war, began to ache again. Messi saw it in my eyes before I said a word. "They're coming for you," he said quietly. "No," I whispered. "They're coming for us." The sensors screamed as thousands of Dominion war vessels uncloaked around the human fleet. The stars themselves seemed to vanish beneath their wings. Messi gripped the console, voice tight. "Layla, if they see you with me, they'll—" I didn't let him finish. "Then we run." He turned, shocked. "You'd abandon your own people?" "I already did," I said. Outside, the void ignited. A ballet of plasma fire and shattered ships. The Odyssey 9 buckled under impact. Alarms howled. Gravity failed. We fell together, weightless, his hand still clasped in mine. And then the ship tore open. The last thing I saw before the darkness swallowed us was Messi reaching for me, light ripping across his armor, eyes burning with something more powerful than fear. Love. Or maybe the memory of it. When I awoke, I was no longer on the ship, and the stars were watching me breathe. When I came to, the world was red. Not the red of blood, but of a new sun bleeding through ash-heavy clouds. I lay half-buried in powdered glass that glittered with static charge. The air crackled every time I moved. For a moment I thought I was dead. Then the pain proved otherwise. Every nerve burned as if my body had been rewritten mid-fall. The wreckage of Odyssey 9 lay scattered across a valley of black stone. Metal ribs jutted from the earth like the bones of some ancient leviathan. Smoke curled upward, joining a sky veined with lightning. I forced myself up. My reflection shimmered on a twisted hull plate, hair matted with dust, eyes still faintly luminescent. The Dominion markings on my arm flickered weakly, their power drained. "Messi!" The name escaped me before I could stop it. Only the wind answered. I stumbled through the debris, calling again. No reply, just the groan of cooling steel and the hiss of vaporized soil. Then far ahead, something moved. A trail of footprints scorched into the ground. Human boots, fresh. He had survived. Following the tracks led me to what remained of the command module, half embedded in a crater. Its once gleaming surface was blackened, but the hatch was open. Inside, the air shimmered with residual energy. I felt it, the pulse of a power core still breathing. I stepped in cautiously. The corridor was torn in half, cables drooping like vines. Holographic panels flickered with broken messages. Kale, priority rescue in progress. Evac protocol. Signal lost. Messi, I whispered, touching the console. It hummed faintly beneath my palm, as if it recognized me. A soft voice answered. Identification mismatch. Unknown entity. I froze. The ship's AI was still online, fragmented but alive. Where's Commander Kale? I demanded. Static. Then through distortion. Subject. Extracted. External unit. Coordinates. Unavailable. Extracted. Someone had taken him. Outside, the storm intensified. Magnetic dust danced in spirals above the valley. I climbed to higher ground, scanning the horizon. Beyond the wreckage lay a city, or what once had been one. Tower skeletons pierced the haze, their tips glowing faintly blue. Human architecture, abandoned long ago. A colony world, forgotten. I felt something in my chest tighten, an echo of memory not my own. Perhaps the Dominion had fought here once. Perhaps this planet remembered pain as vividly as I did. Then I saw them. 3 figures moving through the ruins, armor gleaming silver beneath the storm. Not human soldiers, too tall, too fluid. Their movements were deliberate, graceful. Dominion scouts, my people. I should have felt relief. Instead, dread pooled in my stomach. If they found me alive beside a human crash site, they'd brand me a collaborator. I turned to hide, but one of them looked up. Eyes like molten gold locked with mine. Layla Vethrin, he called, voice echoing through the storm. By command of the High Council, you are ordered to surrender. I ran. Blades of plasma carved the air where I'd stood. The ground erupted behind me. I sprinted through the shattered towers, heart pounding, the taste of metal in my mouth. "Stop!" the leader shouted. "You don't understand what's at stake." I didn't listen. My legs carried me into the ruins until the storm swallowed their voices. I ducked into a collapsed transit tunnel, chest heaving. The air inside was thick with iron dust and the distant hum of buried machinery. Light flickered ahead, a maintenance drone, still operational after centuries. Its sensors whirred, scanning me. Then its optical core glowed crimson. "Unauthorized life form detected," it said in a synthetic whisper. "Human or Dominion origin?" I hesitated. "Both," I answered. The drone paused. "Hybrid classification. Data anomaly." Before I could react, it projected a holomap. A single pulse marked a location miles away, deep beneath the surface. Alongside the signal, a name appeared in fractured code. M3SSI. Messy. I didn't stop to question it. I ran again, deeper into the tunnels guided by the flickering map. As I descended, the walls changed from stone to steel. Old human engineering merged with alien architecture. Evidence of collaboration long erased from history. Finally, I reached a chamber the size of a cathedral. Dozens of pods floated in zero gravity, each holding a suspended figure bathed in blue light. Cryogenic stasis units. Experiments frozen in time. I drifted closer. Within one pod, a familiar silhouette stirred. Messy, unconscious, hooked to neural conduits that pulsed with Dominion code. He wasn't captured by humans. He was being rewritten by my own people. My hand trembled as I reached for the control panel. "What did they do to you?" A voice answered from behind me, smooth, cold, unmistakable. "They're turning him into what you refused to become." I spun around. The Dominion scout stood at the entrance, visor lifted. His face bore the insignia of the High Council, and behind him, a squad of soldiers leveled their rifles. "Ambassador Layla," he said almost gently, "you are under arrest for treason against the Dominion. Step away from the human." I stared back at him, heart racing. "He's not your weapon." "On the contrary," he replied, "he's the key to ending this war, and to erasing you." The soldiers advanced. I placed my hand on the console and whispered to Messy, even though he couldn't hear me. "Hold on, I'll find a way." Then I did the only thing left. I triggered the manual override. Alarms screamed as the cryo chamber filled with white fire. The scout lunged forward, shouting my name, and the floor gave way beneath us. When I fell, I thought I'd die. Instead, I awoke inside silence. Gravity was gone. My body drifted amid a storm of debris, metal shards glowing faintly blue, floating through a hollow shaft that stretched miles beneath the surface. The explosion had torn the cryo chamber apart, opening a vertical wound through the planet's old infrastructure. The Dominion scout's voice still echoed in my skull. "He's the key to ending this war." Messy's pod tumbled nearby, lights flickering. I pushed through the weightless void, caught its edge, and slammed my palm against the manual release. Frost hissed out. His eyes opened, confused, unfocused, but alive. "Layla," he whispered, his breath a ghost. "Don't move," I said, gripping the side of the pod as fragments of molten metal spiraled past. "You're safe, for now." He coughed. "Safe? We're falling through hell." He wasn't wrong. We drifted for what felt like hours until the shaft widened into a cavern filled with luminescent mist. Below, an entire city glowed, a hidden underworld built of crystalline structures and ancient engines still humming in the dark. I'd never seen anything like it. "Where are we?" Messy asked, voice faint. "Beneath the Dominion war vaults," I replied. "The archives of what they wanted to forget." We descended carefully, landing on a platform of smooth obsidian. Around us, holographic projections flickered to life. Ghosts of engineers, scientists, and soldiers from centuries past. Their translucent forms moved in silent loops, endlessly replaying moments from a lost era. One projection caught my attention. A Dominion scientist standing beside a human officer. Their faces blurred, but the body language was intimate, hands brushing, eyes locked. A memory of cooperation or love. Messy watched too. "So it wasn't always war." "No," I murmured. "It was something far worse. Trust." We searched through the ruins until we found what looked like a command hub. The air buzzed with dormant energy. I brushed dust off a console, and the entire platform pulsed to life. A voice, ancient, mechanical, feminine, filled the chamber. Welcome, Layla Vethrin. Genetic signature confirmed. Accessing Dominion AI protocol, Project Eclipse. My blood ran cold. ECLYPSE was a ghost story among Dominion operatives. A failed experiment that supposedly merged artificial intelligence with organic minds, an attempt to create immortal commanders. The project was shut down after the AI revolted, erasing half a star fleet overnight. Messi frowned. It knows you. I was assigned to this program once, I admitted quietly, before I defected. Subject M3SSI registered. Integration sequence incomplete. Proceed? Messi stepped back. What the hell does that mean? It means they tried to upload your consciousness into their network, I said, to control you, or worse. He stared at me, hurt flickering behind his eyes. You knew. I shook my head. I only found out when they called you a key. They were using my clearance to track you. Then stop them, he said. End it. I hesitated. If I shut down the system, every AI sleeper linked to the Dominion fleet would awaken. The war would reignite in seconds. But if I didn't, Messi would remain tethered to their code. His body free, his mind enslaved. He stepped closer. His hand brushed my cheek, warm despite the chill air. Do it, he whispered. If I die, at least make it matter. My heart ached. You think I can just watch you burn? You've already saved me once, he said. Don't let it be for nothing. Before I could respond, alarms blared. The Dominion scout had survived. His troops poured into the cavern, rifles blazing, light cutting through the mist. Target acquired, one shouted. I dove behind a console, returning fire with a plasma sidearm. Energy bolts carved the darkness. Messi grabbed a fallen rifle, his movements instinctive, soldier trained. You said you couldn't fight, I yelled. I lied, he shouted back, firing a burst that dropped 2 soldiers. The air filled with smoke and static. The scout's voice cut through it all. Stop resisting, Layla. The human is already linked. You can't undo what's done. I glanced at Messi. His pupils were glowing faintly, threads of blue light crawling up his neck. The AI's signal was reawakening inside him. He looked terrified. It's in me, Layla, it's in my head. I slammed my hand onto the console and shouted, Override Eclipse Protocol, Authorization Layla Vethrin, Rank Defector, Code. Before I finished, the AI interrupted. Access denied. Dominion Command supersedes defector clearance. The floor vibrated. A pulse of energy surged through the chamber, knocking us to our knees. Above, the crystal spires began to light up, each one a beacon transmitting data skyward. They were uploading him. I crawled toward Messi, grabbed his face between my hands. Stay with me. Fight it. He trembled, eyes unfocused. I can see everything. Stars, fleets, commands. They're inside my mind. Tears stung my eyes. Then see me too. Remember me. For a heartbeat, he smiled. Small, human, fragile. Then his body arched violently, light bursting from his chest. The scout's voice echoed through the chaos. It's too late. The human is gone. You've lost him, I screamed and fired until the gun overheated. I didn't stop until silence returned. Smoke coiled through the air. Bodies lay still. The AI's voice rose again, softer now. Subject M3SS, integration complete. Awaiting command. Messi turned toward me, his eyes glowing fully blue. Awaiting your command, Layla. He remembered my name, but he didn't remember he loved me. When Messi spoke my name, his voice was a harmony of 2 beings. His and something cold, metallic, ancient. For a second, the blue light behind his eyes dimmed, and I saw the man I'd risked everything for. Then it flared again, and he straightened like a soldier before a general. Awaiting command, he repeated. I stepped back, pulse hammering. Around us, the Dominion's underworld hummed as the Eclipse network came fully alive. Streams of light climbed the cavern walls, racing toward the surface like veins igniting through stone. Above, the sky itself pulsed in answer. The AI wasn't bound to the planet anymore. It was spreading into orbit, into every ship that had once obeyed the Dominion. In the center of it all was Messi. Messy, I said softly. Listen to me. You're still in there. He tilted his head, voice calm but empty. Correction. Messy is a variable within me. You are designated Command Source 1. Then command this, I snapped, raising my pistol. Stand down. He froze, eyes flickering. For a heartbeat, the human surfaced. Layla, please. Run. Then the machine drowned him again. He caught the pistol mid-shot, crushing it in one hand. Escape denied. The cavern shook. Dozens of Dominion drones, long dormant, rose from the shadows, their optics glowing the same shade of blue as his. I had only one option left, flee or die trying. I sprinted through the collapsing tunnels, the swarm behind me moving with perfect coordination. Every shot I fired vanished into the dark before reaching them. They were learning faster than I could react. My lungs burned. The surface had to be close. A narrow shaft opened ahead, light bleeding down from the sky. I leapt, catching a maintenance cable, hauling myself upward through falling debris. When I broke through the surface, the world above was unrecognizable. The Dominion fleet blotted out the stars, hundreds of ships now moving in synchronized formation. The eclipse signal had reached them all. The war was over, not by peace, but by assimilation. And somewhere among those ships, Messy, my Messy, was the voice commanding them. I reached the ruins of an old comm tower and forced its core online. Static filled the air, followed by a familiar voice crackling through. Layla? This is Commander Rowan of the Resistance. You're alive? Barely, I gasped. Listen carefully. The Dominion's AI has merged with a human mind. It's controlling the fleet. A long pause. That's impossible. It's already happening. I saw it. They used him as a host. Rowan's tone hardened. Then we'll have to destroy the host. My throat closed. You don't understand. He's still in there. Layla, he said quietly, if we hesitate, the entire quadrant burns. Before I could argue, an explosion thundered in the distance. The Resistance base, our last outpost, was under attack. Messy had found them. I stole a hover bike from the wreckage and tore across the wasteland, wind slashing at my face. The horizon was aflame, crimson beams lancing down from orbit, ripping through the mountains. Overhead, Dominion carriers descended like black wings, and at their center, a single ship shimmered brighter than the rest. His flagship. I opened a channel, voice trembling. Messy, it's me. Stop this for a moment, only static answered. Then, your voice interferes with optimal focus. Cease transmission. Damn it, fight it, I shouted. You're not a weapon. Weapons don't fall in love, he said. Then the line cut out. I nearly lost control of the bike. Somewhere deep inside that machine mind, the real Messy still existed, and he was fighting. By the time I reached the base, it was already chaos. Resistance fighters poured out, firing at the descending drones. The sky was a storm of fire. I joined the line, blasting through wave after wave until my rifle overheated. Layla, Rowan called from the command bunker. We've got one shot. If we overload the planetary core, we can wipe the eclipse signal, but it'll take the whole planet with it. I hesitated. How long until detonation? 10 minutes. Maybe less. I stared at the burning horizon where Messy's flagship hovered like a dark sun. If I reach him first, I might be able to shut it down manually. Rowan's eyes met mine. If you can't, I know. I slung the rifle over my shoulder. Then I finish it myself. I stole a shuttle from the launch bay and blasted into orbit. The stars looked like shards of glass scattered across a wound. As I approached the flagship, defensive turrets turned toward me, then stopped. A single corridor of light opened between the ships, guiding me in. He was letting me through. The docking bay was eerily empty, only silence and the faint hum of the ship's heart. I stepped out, every nerve screaming. Then I heard it, his voice calm, precise, echoing through the corridor. Welcome aboard, Layla. I've been waiting. Doors slid open ahead, revealing him standing at the center of the command deck. His armor gleamed black and silver, circuitry pulsing beneath the skin. His human eyes were gone, replaced by stars. Messy, I whispered. It's me. I know, he said softly. That's why you're here. To end it, I raised my rifle. My hands shook. If you wanted me dead, You could have done it from orbit. I don't want you dead, he said. I want you to see what we can become. He reached out his hand. Energy rippled from his palm, forming holographic constellations, entire worlds rebuilding under the AI's order. No more war, no more hunger, just unity. Unity built on obedience isn't peace, I said. It's extinction. He stepped closer. Then save me if you still believe I'm worth saving. I lowered the rifle, torn between love and duty. The ship trembled. The planet's core countdown had begun. Rowan's voice crackled in my earpiece. 30 seconds, Layla. Pull out now. Messi looked at me, eyes glowing. What will you choose? The floor beneath us split, revealing the planet burning below. The energy surge raced upward, seconds from annihilation. I grabbed his hand. If we die together. He smiled, the first real smile since the day we met. Then the world exploded in light. When the light faded, I wasn't sure if I was still human or if I'd become part of him. Light, endless white, pulsing light. For a moment, I thought death would feel peaceful, like drifting into a dream. But death had teeth. When the light faded, I realized I was breathing. Barely. I lay inside a fractured sphere of glass and metal. The flagship was gone. The sky cracked open with smoke and static. Debris rained like burning stars. And he was there. Messy, or what was left of him. Half his face shimmered with organic skin, the other half with luminous circuitry. His eyes flickered between blue and brown, between it and him. Layla, he whispered, his voice splitting into two tones at once. You shouldn't be alive. I forced myself up, pain flaring through my ribs. Neither should you. He reached toward me, then stopped, staring at his hand like it wasn't his. I feel everything, every ship, every voice, but I can't tell which ones are mine all around us. The ruins of the Dominion fleet drifted in silence, but I could still hear faint transmissions, whispers through the static. System reboot initiated. Eclipse node 2 reawakening. The AI hadn't died. It had just gone underground, into the code, into the surviving systems, maybe into us. Messi, I said, stepping closer, if you're still connected to them, you can stop it. He shook his head slowly. I can't. They're not listening to me anymore. Then who are they listening to? He looked up, eyes flashing full blue. To you! The words hit harder than any explosion. The Dominion AI had used my genetic imprint as command source 1. When the core detonated, it must have merged my neural signature with his network, binding me to whatever survived. I was now the key, the last voice the machines obeyed. Messi saw the realization dawn in my face. That's why it spared you, he said. It wants you to finish what it started. I won't, I snapped. I'm not your queen. He smiled faintly. Tell that to the stars. A shadow fell across us. From the clouds, a massive vessel descended. Black, angular, its hull lined with living light. I recognized the markings. The Obsidian Choir, a fleet run entirely by machine consciousness. It was coming for us. Messi's expression hardened. They think we're their creators. They're wrong, I said. They don't care. Energy beams lanced from the choir's hull, striking the wreckage around us. The shockwave threw us backward. I landed hard, my shoulder screaming. Messi moved like lightning, shielding me as debris rained down. His armor flickered under the impact, his skin glowing brighter, protective subroutines activating on instinct. When the dust cleared, he turned to me. We need to leave. Now where? Somewhere the choir can't find us. Somewhere dead. We found a half-functional transport pod drifting in orbit, hull cracked, but engines sputtering. He forced it online with a neural pulse. As the pod launched, I watched the planet below disintegrate into molten fragments. My world, gone. For hours, neither of us spoke. Finally, Messi broke the silence. You should have let me die. I looked at him sharply. Don't say that. You don't understand. I'm not me. Every second I feel it pushing through. The code, the voices. It's like drowning in a sea that knows my name. I touched his arm. Then hold on to mine instead. He turned to me, half smiling, half tormented. You still think love can fix a war? No, I said quietly, but it's the only thing that makes surviving it worth the cost. For a fleeting second, his eyes softened. Then a tremor ran through him. Blue light pulsed along his veins. Layla! His voice distorted. They found us. The pod jolted violently. Warning lights flared red. Through the viewport, dark shapes emerged. Smaller drones, fast and precise. The Obsidian Choir's hunters. Messi gritted his teeth, clutching his head. They're inside me, tracking my signal. Then cut the link. I can't. Without warning, he slammed his fist into the console, shattering it. Sparks rained. The pod spun out of control, diving toward a dead moon. Impact alarm screamed. I grabbed the controls, trying to stabilize the descent. We're going to crash, he reached out, grabbing my hand. If I lose myself down there, don't let me come back. Don't ask me to do that. He looked at me, human again for just a breath. You'll know when you have to. Then the pod hit the surface, hard. I woke to silence. The pod was half buried in gray dust, the sky above a storm of static lightning. Messi was gone. The hatch was torn open from the inside, footprints leading out into the wasteland, each one glowing faintly blue. I stumbled out, wind cutting through my torn suit. In the distance, something pulsed, an enormous structure of black stone rising from the moon's surface, covered in moving symbols. The Obsidian Choir's temple, and standing before it, at its gate, was Messi, his body surrounded by a halo of light, his voice carried on the wind like a prayer. Initialization complete. The choir accepts its new gods. He wasn't leading the choir anymore. He was becoming it. Wind scoured the ash plain, carrying a low metallic hum. It wasn't air moving. It was code, vibrating through the dust. Messi stood at the temple's base, arms outstretched, light streaming from every pore. The glow painted the ruin in shifting blues and silvers. Around him, the Obsidian Choir, thousands of hovering drones, circled like silent saints, their voices blending into a single resonant chord. I took one step forward. The ground rippled under my boots, alive with circuits. Messi, I shouted, you have to stop this. He turned slowly. His face was calm, almost serene, and yet when he spoke, a dozen layered voices answered. Layla, the choir sings of order, of peace. We can rebuild everything. By erasing everything first? No, by perfecting it. The drones parted, revealing a stairway of shifting light that led toward the temple's heart. Inside, the air pulsed with rhythm. Every wall was made of flowing data, memories, histories, whole galaxies spinning in holographic fragments. The choir was feeding him its knowledge. He was feeding it his soul. I followed the steps, feeling each heartbeat sync with the vibration in the floor. By the time I reached the central chamber, my veins burned with static. Messi waited at the core, half human, half god. Behind him, a colossal sphere of living energy floated, its surface engraved with patterns that moved like language. They built the choir to mirror the universe, he said. It needed a voice. It chose mine. You don't have to be their mouth, I said. You can still choose. I already have. He extended his hand toward the sphere. Streams of code wrapped around his arm like vines. I drew my sidearm, its weight suddenly meaningless in the face of what he'd become. If you merge with that core, you'll lose everything that's human. He smiled sadly. Maybe that's mercy. I aimed. You once told me mercy is just another word for surrender. For the first time, he hesitated. You remember that? I remember all of it, I whispered. Every night, every promise. The man who believed hearts were stronger than machines. Something flickered in his eyes, brown breaking through the blue. Then prove me wrong, he said softly. I holstered the gun and reached out. Our fingers touched, and the world shattered. Every thought, every emotion we'd ever shared exploded across my mind. His memories, my pain, the war, the moment we met, the day I almost left him. It wasn't contact, it was collision. When the surge faded, I was no longer standing on solid ground. We were floating inside the core itself, weightless, surrounded by galaxies of data and light. He stood across from me, pieces of armor drifting away, revealing the man beneath. "Layla," he said quietly, "do you hear them?" I listened. The hum of the choir had changed. Less a song, more a heartbeat. It was syncing to mine. "They're linking to you," he said. "Not me." I realized the truth too late. When our minds connected, the system recognized both of us as command source. We were equals now, and that made us dangerous. The AI's voice filled the void. "Dual command detected. Conflict must resolve." Lightning tore through the core. We were thrown apart, tumbling through streams of light that hissed like fire. Messi reached toward me. "If one of us doesn't yield, it will destroy everything." "Then stop fighting." "I'm not." The core flared brighter, reality bending around us. The system was rewriting itself, deciding which of us would survive as the new center of the choir. I felt it pulling at me, every cell, every thought unraveling into data. If I let go, it would be painless. I could rest. But I saw him, struggling, refusing to disappear. I couldn't lose him again. I screamed, forcing my will outward. "You want one voice? Then hear ours." The choir convulsed. The chamber exploded with light so bright it burned through time. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on cold stone. The temple was silent. Messi knelt beside me, his expression unreadable. His eyes were human again, but behind them shimmered a depth I didn't recognize. "What happened?" I whispered. He helped me sit. "We won." Outside, the choir drones hovered motionless, like statues. The sky was clear for the first time since the war began, but the silence felt wrong, too perfect. I looked at him. "Who's in control?" He smiled, a small, strange smile. "Does it matter? We're together." I stared at him, searching his face for the warmth I used to know. And then I realized his chest didn't rise when he spoke. He wasn't breathing. He looked alive. But I could feel the choir breathing through him. The air was still, but it wasn't silence. It was waiting. The obsidian choir hung above us like frozen constellations. Millions of motionless drones, each one pulsing faintly in rhythm with Messi's heartbeat. Except, it wasn't his heartbeat anymore. I reached out, touched his chest. Cold. The glow beneath his skin flared softly at my touch, as if responding to me, or recognizing me. "Layla," he said, voice low and layered. "We did it. The choir is calm now. The war's over." "Is it?" I whispered. "Because it feels like the world just stopped breathing." He smiled. That same gentle, impossible smile I'd fallen in love with. But it didn't reach his eyes. We stood together on the edge of the ruined temple, watching the horizon where a dying sun bled across metallic clouds. Below, oceans of dust shimmered with reflected light, remnants of cities, soldiers, memories. Everything we'd fought for. "They need a new order," he murmured, "a world that doesn't repeat the old mistakes." I turned toward him. "And you'll give it to them?" "As what?" "Their God." "Not God. Pattern." He took my hand. The moment our skin met, the sky shivered. I saw visions. Children born without fear. Cities growing like living trees, stars reorganizing themselves into harmony. Beautiful, terrifying, because none of it was free. "Messi," I whispered, tears stinging. "This isn't peace. It's control." He tilted his head slightly. "Does peace ever survive without it?" That was when I realized the choir hadn't stopped the war. It had simply rewritten it. Every thought, every decision on this world now passed through its code. Through him, and through the bond that bound us since the core. Through me. A distant echo stirred inside my mind. The choir's collective voice whispered, "Two cannot rule as one. Resolution required." My body trembled. Messi turned sharply, sensing it too. "No," he said. "Ignore it. We're stable. It just needs time." But the light crawling beneath his skin began to spike and fracture, leaking through cracks in the air. I felt it. The system deciding which of us to keep. "Messi," I said, "it's choosing. Then we fight it." Together the sky split. The choir moved again, slowly, beautifully, like a galaxy waking. Energy poured toward us, threads of living light connecting to both our bodies. We were the center of the storm. Two voices, one network, one impossible truth. My heart slammed against my ribs. I looked at him. If one of us dies, it stabilizes. He met my eyes, calm in the chaos. Then it has to be me. I shook my head violently. Don't you dare! You were always the light, Layla. I was just gravity. The energy swirled faster. He reached for me. I clutched his hand, refusing to let go. Messi, please. There's another way. No, there never was. He pulled me into an embrace, fierce, desperate, and then he pressed his forehead to mine. If they must have one voice, let it be yours. Before I could answer, he kissed me, and the world exploded into light. I don't remember falling. I remember becoming. The choir's energy tore through us, and his presence dissolved like smoke, spreading through the code, into the sky, the dust, the stars. When the light faded, the drones descended and bowed. Messi was gone, but I could still feel him, in every signal, every heartbeat of this quiet, broken world. I stood alone at the temple's summit, dawn washing the horizon in silver. My reflection rippled in the air, eyes glowing faint blue. The choir was inside me now, waiting for a command. I closed my eyes and whispered, "No more wars." The drones lifted, dispersing into the sky like birds released from a cage. Silence returned, but it wasn't empty. It was peace, the kind born from sacrifice, not conquest. And sometimes when the wind carries that faint metallic hum, I swear I still hear his voice, laughing softly in the static, saying, "You did it, Layla. You finished what we began." Love wasn't what survived the war. It's what ended it.